What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Mustard, back with another video, and today we're here to continue on the Walking Dead franchise. This is season 3. Hopefully, I don't get copyrighted this time, but this was a very odd season for me. So you're not Clementine, you're this Mexican family, and you're Javier. You're pretty much learning about the zombie apocalypse outbreak or whatever, and you lose your father and stuff like that. And pretty much, since you don't know about the zombies, you pretty much find out through your father, who becomes a zombie, what the outbreak is, and it ends up getting this family split up. You end up being with your niece, nephew, and your sister-in-law, who you pretty much with your brother's family, bro. Like it's your family too, but like it's your brother's family. So pretty much, you guys end up been driving, and it's been like some time now or whatever, and pretty much you find like this abandoned like junkyard or whatever. You try to siphon it for gas or whatever, and you end up meeting up with these guys who you later find out being the New Frontier. I'm gonna just spoil it for y'all, I'm sorry, but you end up getting separated from them, and when you do, they knock you out, and they're about to take you back to their base of operations until you get saved by Clementine, or what you're seeing now. This is the beginning of it now. You don't know her, but Clementine, the GOAT, is back, and I'm just gonna straight up say it right now. It sucks because you don't play with Clementine necessarily. So that's like an L in itself as it is. But you play with Clementine, and you end up actually finding out like what happens after you the results of the second game. And now Clementine's like, I think she's like 13 now. So imagine how in the first one she's 9. Now she's 13. So this has been way into the zombie apocalypse or whatever. So Clementine helps you out, and you're pretty much, you get put into this town which is known as Prescott, and you meet Trip and the Dr. Eleanor, and they help you out or whatever. And you're gonna go back, and you're going to try to get your family, and that's where things really get necessary, like to the nitty gritty. When you get back to the junkyard, the Frontier wasn't happy that you tried to siphon their gas and that you killed their people. So you think that your family is safe for the long run, and then shots get fired, and you end up losing your niece. What was her name? Like Marina or something like that. Yeah, interesting. But once you do that, you can fight back with Clementine, or you can go to the what is known as Prescott or whatever. So once you do that, that's pretty much where the first episode really ends at necessarily. Not a bad episode, but I mean, like, it's already bad enough that Clementine feels like a side character and not a real character. But y'all, let's get ready to move on to episode 2. So in episode 2, you're pretty much finding a new home. Now, what I forgot to say in the last episode was that when Marina gets shot, the stepmom actually gets shot too. She gets shot in her stomach trying to go to her body or whatever. So once you leave, you have to do surgery on her, and you can choose to help Clementine clear out the men, or don't. You can go do surgery. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, Clementine's going to come back to Prescott, and they're still going to be following her. And Prescott gets overran by these people. I don't think there's not much of a way to save it, so that is what it is. But pretty much once you're out on the road now, you all think of this new place called Richmond that you've been hearing about, to go there to find new home and new shelter. But when you're going on your way, you kind of get overran, so you split up with 2 of the people out of the group, which is the Dr. Eleanor and the stepmom who shot. because she needs medical attention better than what we have now, since we don't have a home, of course. You end up meeting the other goat, Jesus, which got a shout out to Tall Tale for actually putting him in the game. Very proud that they did. He pretty much ends up telling you that Richmond isn't what we think it is, and it's overran by the New Frontier, which what I brought up earlier, which is, the group with the Bram, and nobody really trusts the New Frontier if, you're not getting it by now. But yeah, not really much to tell in this story other than you end up finding out that Clementine is part of the New Frontier, but she's really not. So you end up seeing her story of how she joins. Pretty much she was with AJ and she didn't have much food or water, and she almost ends up getting overran by zombies, and she ends up running to some girl named Ava, I believe, which is also part of the New Frontier. She ends up offering her shelter, food, water if she just came back with her and became part of the group. And little Clementine, not knowing what she was getting herself into, decides to do that just to be there for AJ, since it's them two left. Comrade's pretty upset about you. If you don't know, Comrade's a black dude. What you're seeing with what you just saw with the gun now. You end up getting his wife killed when trying to stop the people from overrunning Prescott. He ends up finding out about it and ends up trying to persuade you to trade the people in Richmond for Clementine. That's a big choice for you to make too. You can choose to if you don't want to, but at the end of this episode, it gets really interesting because you do actually find out that one of the people who's running the New Frontier is actually your presumed dead brother, who you thought he was dead and gone, but he re-enters the story. So y'all, let's get ready to move on to episode 3. So in episode 3, this episode didn't really, I don't know, it was kind of short, simple, and to the point. I felt like they added more than they really needed to. It was just, after you found your brother, Kate, that's her name, and I actually freaking remember now. Kate gets better, after she gets medical assistance. The New Frontier tries to get Eleanor because they figure out how useful she is. Other than that, Jesus and Trip, they're pretty much just stuck there because they have no ties to the New Frontier. And this was all pretty much about the New Frontier not trusting you after they figured out the attack that happened during the little, chop shop or whatever you want to call that area. The little gunfight or whatever. But they pretty much send you on your way, and your brother pretty much just agrees with them. But what you're watching now is, once you get kicked out, you meet back up with Clementine. And Clementine actually explains her story of what happened when she joined the New Frontier, and why she's not really opposed to being on their side anymore, because she pretty much got kicked out after trying to help AJ get better because he was sick. And they sent her on her way without him. So she pretty much called your brother David a baby killer. But this was all pretty much just about you not being in a group and you figuring out that one of the leaders named Joan is actually not who she says she is. The New Frontier is based off of rules and settlement and being a nice settlement for you to live in. And it turns out that Joan was planning behind the settlement and causing raids on other settlements and taking equipment so that they would survive, because it's always been about survival. And once you figure that out, she turns on David, who was part of the group too. So now it's pretty much just a settlement against you guys now. There wasn't really much to go off of for this one. So it was more like it had storytelling. Yeah, it was there, but it was pretty much just the settlement didn't like you, and then you figured out the settlement secrets. So y'all, let's get ready to move on to episode 4. So in episode 4, we let the council, we go back to Richmond, I guess, and we let the council know about what Joan's been doing behind closed doors. Now, this is very interesting because instead of the council siding with us, they still let Joan run rampant and they end up throwing us in jail. We have to end up escaping and, well, I end up escaping. Your brother ends up trying to negotiate with her, which it was never really a negotiation. She pretty much ends up getting him set up for a public execution. And while we're doing that, Trip ends up finding out that, Conrad didn't actually die from, walkers. I actually shot him trying to save Clementine and Gabe. So him and Eleanor ends up not liking us, but we ended up needing truck and guns because the whole time while we're fighting this battle to see, tell the city that Joan isn't the best leader, there's a giant horde that's been coming at us pretty much the entire game. That's how they start the game pretty much. Maybe I should have mentioned that before. But after that, they got our little love story. I've been saying the stepmom, her name's Kate. Pretty much me and Kate end up liking each other, even though that's your sister-in-law. That's literally your sister-in-law. It's insane, but they family was starting to fall apart. So it is what it is. Gabe and Clementine kind of has this thing going on, but what you're watching now is this is right after season 2. Really, is just showing what happened during the time period between the end of season 2 and this season of the game necessarily. And in the last few videos, I picked Kenny. I don't know why they gave me Jane. I have no clue why they gave me Jane. I even made sure I had the right save file on it too. So I don't know. It's pretty weird. I wanted to kind of know what happened with Kenny. I'm gonna see if I can fix it, but but this video I couldn't. But pretty much, I'm getting off topic here. By the end of this episode, we end up going to war with Joan. We tried to side. We tried to just leave and be exiled, but your brother goes crazy and ends up shooting the people, so that we ended up getting shot at, and the horde was outside the whole time. So pretty much we get into a little Mexican standoff, sadly, and Kate tries to save us, and one of them throw a Molotov at her truck, and she actually hits the walls by crashing and lets in the horde, and that's how this episode ends. So y'all, let's get ready to move on to the final episode. The final episode. The whole town of Richmond is going to shit, and Kate feels like that we should help, but your brother pretty much loses his mind and tries to get his family back because he a soldier, and a soldier always stay in line because that's what soldiers do. But if the choice that we got here, very interesting that y'all was just seeing. If you go after your brother and them, they do live at the end of the game. I'm sorry to be spoilers. I should have just said that, spoiler alert, right then and there. Yeah, your brother does live, but he does not talk to you. And then Gabe lives also. That ending's not bad, don't get me wrong. But I'm gonna be real. If y'all invested into the little love story or thing or whatever, just save Kate. Just save her, because you do lose your brother and you lose Gabe, but you do have Kate at the end. I mean, I don't know. The having the boys as the ending wasn't the ending, honestly. But other than that, you do find Clementine's story continues. You do find out where AJ is at the end of the game. Dr. Lingard does eventually tell you. So she ends up leaving at the end of the game to go find AJ. But over and all, this game, it ain't bad. Don't get me wrong, y'all. Don't get me wrong. It's not terrible, but Clementine felt like she was just a backseater in this game. It just felt like she was more of a side character. And yeah, I get it. Like, oh, they still told Clementine's story. Yeah, they felt like I don't know, it felt like that they had to like put something in for her, or we would have just been pissed about it, because she feels like a side character. You're more worried about Javier and the family, and you fall in love with your sister-in-law and getting Gabe's respect and all that. And it's just like, bruh, no, we didn't really ask for that. Like, I'm sorry, we didn't. Yeah, I mean, like, the story wasn't bad and all. It was a typical settlement, which one of the leaders was doing stuff behind bars, but I was there for my girl Clementine. It's been 2 seasons, bro. That's who I was there for. And the fact that she feels this like a side character really destroyed me, because they really tried to put other characters over here. Javier, who you're playing with, Kate, Gabe, your brother, Trip, Eleanor. Like, they was throwing all these people in there, and it's just like, yeah, it was good storytelling. I mean, we did get the GOAT Jesus, so I mean, like, that was good and all, but other than that, like, final verdict for this game, 6 out of 10, bro. Like, it could have been better if they just had to let you play with Clementine. Honestly, if they let you play with Clementine and wrote the story a little bit differently, it would have easily been like maybe an 8 or a 9, y'all. But we move on to the final season, y'all. So until next time, I'm out.